after this interview, during this interview, did you consider Alex Murdaugh a suspect in the death of his son and his wife?
He was the only known suspect at that time, yes.
And that day, was the case transferred from Solicitor Duffy Stone to Attorney General Alan Wilson with the South Carolina Attorney General's office?
Yes, it was.
I just want to go back right before we ended, and I'm not trying to get you to repeat this, but do you remember when you asked, or do you remember when he told you, I know y'all got to look at me, and I've tried to have as little discussions with people that y'all are interviewing, you know, with all this talk about that. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
How did you take that statement to mean, his answer when he said that?
That he was trying to stay out of the investigation and let us do our work.
Okay. In early in the investigation, he asked you about, well, that tree going back and forth. And was he clear on when that video was taken of him in that clothes on the tree? Was he clear?
He didn't recall.
At this point, had you already talked to Blanca Simpson? Or had she been talked to reference?
She had been interviewed, yes.
Okay. And at some point after August 11, did Blanca System also provide some information in investigations about a conversation she had with the defendant, Alex Murdaugh?
Yes.
Okay. And was that concerning a shirt?
Yes, several months later, she provided information that she and Alec had a conversation about...
Oh, go ahead.
About what he had been wearing that day when he left to go to work.
And just briefly going through the interview, you asked him about when Maggie was coming to Moselle and why. Did you have in this course of the investigation, did you have the emails from Blanca and or Maggie's phone to each other then?
No, I did not.
And early on in the interview, you asked him how long he'd stayed at his mama's house?
Yes, and he stayed approximately 45 minutes.
45 minutes, an hour?
Yes, sir. 45 minutes to an hour, yes.
And at that point in the investigation, had you talked to Michelle Shelley Smith about a conversation she had with Alex Murdaugh and the amount of time that he said he was there?
Yes, she had been interviewed by that time. Again, there were so many agents going out and doing interviews and reporting back to me. But she stated that it was somewhere around 20 minutes. I don't have her report. I don't remember exactly what was said, but I know in our first interview, he had stated that it was around, he had spent about 30 minutes with his mother.
And did your investigation reveal inconsistencies regarding what Mr. Murdaugh had told you?
Yes, I did.
And was that significant to you in your investigation?
It was, because it wasn't one inconsistency, it was several inconsistencies over a period of time that were repeated.
Now, you asked him about a list of guns several times in these interviews. Did you ever get a list of guns from Alex Murdaugh?
I have not.
Between June 7th, 2021 and August 11th, 2021, this interview, how many times did he call you asking about the investigation?
We spoke approximately 5 or 6 times.
What were the inconsistencies that you stood out in your mind?
The times, for one, from the first interview with where he went to his mother's, refer back to my notes.
time in his mother's? Is it fair just to say that?
So when the first interview in June, he stated that it was at his mother's for approximately, I'm sorry. First off, he stated for a little while. And then the second interview on June the 10th, it changed to sorry, give me just a second. About 25 or 30 minutes, and then the third interview, it was 45 minutes to an hour. And then some other inconsistencies is how much time he spent with Paul riding around. The first time it was 45 minutes to an hour. The next time he talked about riding on the farm anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then the inconsistencies, I had the information from Rogan Gibson that he heard Alec. He believed he heard Alec in the background. And on the 3 interviews, Alec had never indicated that he was at the kennels, that he was at the house either taking a nap, playing on his phone, or watching TV. And this was after dinner.
Bless you. Was he ever inconsistent about whether or not he went down to the kennel after supper that night?
Yes.
Did he ever say he did go down there after dinner?
He never told me he went down there after dinner.
Never told you that.
He told me he took a nap and then he was at the house after dinner. He knew Maggie went to the kennels. At first he wasn't sure where Paul went, but then he realized that Paul must have gone to the kennels because that's where he found him. But then he stayed at the house, took a nap.
Now, there's been some discussion, and I think your testimony was he brought it up on the 911 case about the boat case.
Yes, sir.
And that happened in what year?
February of 2019.
2019. And was that case null prosequi, dismissed by the Attorney General's office in the after Paul's death? Can you prosecute a dead man?
No, sir, you cannot. And it's my understanding that the Attorney General's office null pros Paul's case in August of 2021.
So that case, criminally, like we're in a criminal courtroom, was over?
Yes, sir.
At some point in 2021, in the fall, did a financial investigation begin involving Alex Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that overlapped with this investigation?
It did.
Would it be fair to say those investigations fed off each other?
They did. From the information that I was learning from that investigation into the finances, it gave me additional people to consider, to look at. And consider even to look at Mr. Murdaugh as, a reason why or why not.
Were there individuals in the financial investigation that you also interviewed in reference to this investigation?
I did.
Did some of that information you learned from interviews or grand jury testimony?
Yes, I did.
Did you then follow up on some of that information?
Yes, I did.
And from August, September of 21 through the summer of 22, were you, as a member of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, working exclusively or primarily on this case?
That's correct.
And were search warrants still out there you were waiting on?
Yes, sir. There's a multitude of search warrants.
And let's talk just a moment, and I'm about the phones, if we could.
Okay.
You, law enforcement, got Maggie Murdaugh's phone when? I mean, when did you actually take physical custody of it?
Maggie Murdaugh's phone was recovered on June 8th, 2021 on the side of Moselle Road.
And what, were you able to do you, law enforcement, you know what I'm talking about, able to get how much information did you get from Maggie's phone in this investigation?
The family gave us, I believe it actually came from Alec or either Buster, but we got access to her phone via her password, so we were able to do a full extraction from her phone.
Full extraction?
Yes, sir.
And some of that is included in the timeline that's already been entered. It's going to be entered by Mr. Waters in a little bit, right?
Yes, sir.
Full extraction?
Full extraction.
Now, how about Alex's phone? Was it initially taken on June 7th or June 8th?
It was not taken on June 7th or June 8th. We got an extraction on June 10th when we met for our second interview. But that, again, that was just a logical extraction, not a full extraction.
Which was, I don't really understand, but that's the surface, right?
That's just the surface.
Off the top. All right. Did you ever get that phone back?
In September, yes, sir.
September. And at that point, was further information attempted to be gathered from Alex Murdaugh's phone?
Yes, sir.
And how successful was that?
Being the time difference between June and September, a lot of the earlier on information had been overwritten. It's just the way the computers work. You have to clear out memory to make room for new memory. So some information had been not erased but cached out. So we were able to gain some information from the logical in June and compare it to the full extraction that we got in September.
And were you able to determine what had been erased also?
There were some phone calls that had been erased, yes.
Now let's talk about Paul's phone. And to go back in the interview just very briefly on Paul's phone, I'm sorry, Judge, 1 second, I apologize. You would ask him when he turned Paul over and his cell phone popped out. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And what's his answer just a little while ago? I don't know. I mean, when I went up to him, the phone came out, but I don't remember having any intentions of doing anything with the phone.
Well, the first interview, he stated that the phone popped out and that he picked it up and thought about doing something with it, thought better of it, and put it back down.
In this interview, he said it came out, right?
Yes.
Now, Paul's phone, did y'all attempt to do, so you had it from June 7th until today?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to do a full extraction on Paul's phone?
We were able to finally do a full extraction in March of 2022.
Okay. March of 2022?
Yes, sir.
What, if any, information came as a result of that extraction after March of 2022?
The kennel video.
That we've all
seen, yes. The kennel video where Paul is videotaping the chocolate lab, and you can hear Maggie and Paul and Alec in there.
And that
video is time-stamped at 8:44.
Say it again?
8:44 p.m.
And until that day, what day was it? Do you know? Well, if you don't, that's fine. But it came out.
I believe I got the information on April 8th of 2022.
Until that day, and it was extracted, to your knowledge, did anybody else in the world know that was on there except Paul?
Nobody, to my knowledge.
And up until this past, well, was information in this investigation gathered up through last weekend?
Yes, it is.
And what was that?
The General Motors information from Alex's 2021 Suburban.
So SLED from June 7th, in combinations with the locals, the feds, have been investigating this case nonstop.
That is correct.
Where is it? When is it?